Hi, y'all. This is Kristen Chenoweth.
Hi, I'm Gloria Stefan.
This is Sarah Bareilles.
Hi, I'm Patty Lapone.
This is Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Hello, I'm Jesse McAnally.
And I'm Andrew DeWolf.
And I'm Liz Eston.
And welcome to Musicals with Cheese, a podcast where I try to get Andrew and Liz to like musical theater. And you guys, please join us in welcoming this incredible returning guest, I believe for their third time around. My goodness. It won't be their last either.
It's halfway to the cheese.
Well, they got to finish this episode first without dying. Please join us in welcoming the Grammy-winning hit cabaret artist, A&R director of Center Stage Records, handsome dude, and part of the high society, Robbie Rozelle.
Pew, 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 pew.
He's one of the cats on the cover of High Society, in case you haven't known.
That's true. Yeah.
You'll have to guess which one.
The hot one.
Obviously, that's a given.
One.
Yeah, who didn't want a fucking animal?
Handsome cat.
If you don't
The
think I'm
handsome
not
cat.
gay because I saw the Robin Hood Disney film, you're wrong.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. I feel so seen.
We're
welcome.
starting this episode on a high note. I'm just imagining, like, the mother, like, oh, this is about Annie. You can listen to this little darling. And it's like, who hasn't wanted to fuck an animal?
But this is going to have like a little E next to it, right?
Sandy the dog, wouldn't you?
Well, in one of these directions, Sandy's played by a child, so no.
No. What do you think?
I meant in the lore. Come
in
on.
the lore of Sandy. Okay.
Are we talking comic Sandy or movie Sandy? Come
yeah,
on.
like Dumb Dog or
Comic Sandy.
Does Sandy go along for the adventure, or do they show up for one song in Act 1 and then pop up in Act 2? In case you haven't picked up what we're throwing down, because this is the most vague introduction, this week we are giving you a 2-for-1 deal. We are talking about 2 Annie 2s. 2. Cue the music.
It can rub your toes, even comb your hair, and it never goes, no it never goes, if it's truly there. Love can sometimes make you cry, but there's the tears that dry. You gotta open wide, make a lot of room inside for love, for love. Wanna come see my frog?
Somehow this isn't even all the Annie 2s.
No, there's
No.
more
we're still
Annie
not talking
2s
about
that we
one of them.
haven't watched.
There's 2 more Annie 2s outside of the 2 Annie 2s we're talking about today.
I fucking love musical sequels.
Well, they have the plot of the Santa Claus, too.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to get married?
I texted Jess, like, why does Annie have the same logic as the Santa Claus universe? What the fuck is going on here?
I said the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's
Well, you also said that the better Santa Claus 2 ripoff is Rugrats in Paris, which is Rugrats 2.
That is true.
Why is
Although it's kind of like reversed in that one, where the bad guy is the one that needs to get married. It's weird.
You guys, I'm just running to look to see who wrote no. I was going to see if Cinco Paul
Thomas
wrote
Meehan?
the screenplay of Santa Claus 2?
Cinco
That's
Paul?
wild. Yes.
Cinco Paul!
Cinco Paul!
Come on the show so we can talk about none of the musical theater shit you did and just ask if Annie 2 inspired the Santa Claus 2.
Mega whom. That's what I say.
Robbie, you are the only one that has the clout to do this.
Okay.
Tweet at Cinco Paul right now, asking
Look, we
him.
want to talk Santa Claus too.
No. Just ask him, did he intentionally rip off Annie 2 when writing the Santa Claus 2?
Hi, Cincopedia. Quick question. Was the Santa Claus 2 inspired by the plot of Annie to Miss Hannigan's Revenge? Yes or no? Circle 1.
Bravo! top tier episode,
Done.
and we're not even 10 minutes in.
We just started. It's
The
already
formerly verified Robbie Rozelle just sent that into the universe. Let's go.
So Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge, later known as Annie Warbucks,
With
is
a
a musical.
wildly different plot.
Wildly.
Wildly.
You're being a little bold with wildly
There's
different
no
plot.
Hannigan in any Warbucks.
There's a Hannigan, but she has a different name.
That's a quick Control F, Robbie.
Sure.
It's a finer place.
Written by Thomas Meehan, with music and lyrics by Charles Strauss and Martin Charnin, based on Little Orphan Annie the comic strip, as well as Annie the musical from 1977. So Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge, opened on December 22nd, 1989 at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts to universally dismal reviews. Extensive efforts were attempted to try to shape it into something ready for Broadway, and it failed, and the project was abandoned until it revived itself, being called Annie Warbucks, which this sequel that was originally planned to open on Broadway, but the investor pulled out, so they opened off-Broadway on August 9th, 1993. The show broke all off-Broadway box office records at the time, running for 200 performances. There were attempts to bring it to Broadway afterwards, but since there were rules that they could not basically get nominated for Tony Awards because of how long it ran off-Broadway, they just kind of gave up.
Isn't that wild?
The plot of the Annie 2s ish. I'm gonna try to mix both of them in here and see see how well I did it. So, Annie 2 or Annie Warbucks. The plot is, on Christmas morning in 1933, when Child Welfare Commissioner Harriet Doyle, or sometimes Miss Hannigan, arrives on the scene to inform Daddy Warbucks he must marry within 60 days, or else the child will be returned to the orphanage. Daddy Warbucks' whirlwind search for a fitting bride uncovers not only a plot by Doyle and her daughter, Sheila Kelly, or sometimes Miss Hannigan and an orphan doppelganger for Annie to strip him of his fortune, but also his true feelings for his longtime assistant, Grace Farrell. A gaggle of cute little girls seeking parents and Franklin D. Roosevelt return to take part in the shenanigans.
Jess, that's a wrong plot summary.
So wrong. Annie
incorrect.
Warbucks, or Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge, has Marietta Christmas, a senator, who wanders in, and it's Marion Seldes, and she's like, "This child needs to have a mother, and we're going to take her away."
They got rid of the whole lawyer character,
Yeah,
too.
got rid of the
like,
lawyer character, too, from both of them.
Or, I mean, they added the lawyer character.
Oh, yeah. Who ends up having a thing.
The Commissioner Doyle.
No, there's also the lawyer.
No, the lawyer
There's
was...
his lawyer who's like a double trosser.
Yeah, he's like,
he
I
hires
simulated this whole thing to steal your money.
Yeah.
Also,
turns
sometimes
out
the
if you-
Yankees show up on Coney Island. A lot of stuff happens.
Yes. Robbie, I'm curious, which one do you have a deeper love for? Annie 2 or Annie Warbucks?
Annie Warbucks. It's a better score.
Okay. I'm so fascinated by that. Because, Andrew, you have a fucking hot take here that no human being has ever had in their entire life.
No.
I thought Miss Hannigan's Revenge was better.
Whoa. Wow.
I think fake Annie is my favorite character ever to appear in any Annie property. And I like that Miss Hannigan came back because I love Miss Hannigan more than any other character.
Dorothy Loudon even came back to play the role.
She sure did. She did
I
that.
fucking did.
She wandered through that set.
And you know what?
That
J.K.
was
Simmons
insane.
is also
It was
a
lazy.
part of the ensemble.
Oscar Award winner J.K. Simmons did the damn thing.
My whole take though is it's kind of predicated on the fact that I think both of these are kind of dog shit. So it's like, which one do you think is better when
Well,
it's
you
bagged and on
famously-
fire and in front of your doorstep?
You famously hate orphans.
Oh, that's true. That's
And
true. I've been
dogs.
very,
Right.
very outspoken about my hatred of orphans
Wow.
and dogs.
Huh.
So let's start with Annie 2,
Sure.
Miss Hannigan's Revenge.
Why not?
Because I just kind of threw in a little bit of jokes for there, but so this all started when Annie, the original Annie, closed on Broadway, and when it was closing, I believe it was Charles Strauss that went up there and been like,
Martin Charnin.
"No, who?" There
Martin
it is.
Charnin,
All right.
because he was the director and lyricist for both.
And what did he say when he went up on stage?
He walked up on stage and said Annie and put up 2 fingers. 2. Annie 2.
Just like the Ghostbusters.
Right. Who you gonna fucking call? Yeah, that's what started it. They were like, ooh, cash cow. What if we made some more money? Martin Charnin has a daughter, like she had to put through school. So that's truly what like started this train was a cash grab. And they didn't consider it a sequel. They considered it a continuation.
So really, the people making it were the ones that were after Daddy Warbucks' money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
So
Thank you.
It's deeper than we think it is.
I mean, in all fairness, and I made this argument to Andrew when we were talking about this, where the musical ends is kind of just the start of the comics. Like,
Sure.
Little Orphan Annie, like, is all about her living with Daddy Warbucks, and that is her normal. We did the origin story. It makes sense that there could be more story. The comics played there.
Sure. The original Annie musical is fully just Wicked in a red dress.
Oh,
Just-
no.
The
Oh god.
yeah, everything leading up to that moment. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're not wrong, but also my mind's blown. I don't love
You're
that.
Yeah.
Somebody Gregory Maguired a comic, and that's how Annie was born.
And they still made it political. Oh my god, this works in like so many angles.
So great. I think I have to say, I think the original Annie is kind of a perfect musical. Wow, there were a lot of faces that happened. It is well written. It was written for adults, not for children. And now when you see it, because it has been commodified and sort of Disneyfied into a children's theater piece, but it's very much for adults. And it just happens to have children, where that's why Annie 2 Miss Hannigan's Revenge is so crazy, because they did the full inverse of that and tried to make it adorable when it's not.
You see, I don't find it that adorable, though.
What?
I honestly think Annie 2 Miss Hannigan's Revenge
Mm-hmm.
is a little more biting than Annie Warbucks.
Yeah, but you have first of all, you have the Annie who's like, "Aw, gee, Daddy!" Like, you know, with a full Gummy Bears voice.
Are you pretending that's not what it is in the original Annie?
No, Andrea McArdle did not do that.
Okay.
But she wasn't like, she had sort of a naturalness to her. She didn't have that curly red wig until the very last scene. She was just like a normal girl who like played baseball and was sort of ragamuffin and scrappy, right? And this kid is in that red dress start to finish. It's insane. Nothing makes sense. Pony Island, because they were like, well, we did NYC the last time, so we got to do this. And Punjab and the Asp show up, and it's vaguely racist.
Is that just because the John Huston film was popular and they were like, well, let's bring them in?
Because the John Huston film hadn't hit yet. It was just about to come out, because it came out in 82. And when was Annie 2?
89.
Oh, maybe. Maybe they were like, oh, I guess we have to insert this. But it was Jeffrey Holder, the same guy, played Punjab, doesn't speak a line.
It
Just
really...
sort of dances in a racist style.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, way.
That is...
Very, very Johnny Quest.
Johnny.
But the movie didn't come out. Would Annie 2 have existed?
Yeah.
You still think so?
Yes, because Charles Strouse also did this with the sequel to Bye Bye Birdie.
Yeah, but that didn't work out either. Why do we think this will work?
He is not great with the sequels. Actually, I don't know any musicals that the sequel you go, yeah, we really needed that. The only one is maybe Falsettos, but that was each one act, and then they put them together into a 2-act musical. Musical sequels shouldn't happen.
I kind of am a defender of Love Never Dies because I think the phantom culture is overall better because it exists.
No, we're worse.
Is it better because we have like a common enemy? Is that what it is?
Kind of. I think it makes the overall fan community much more interesting because it's there.
Yeah, but then we also have the 6-minute song about fucking when the moon isn't out that we keep
say that like it's a
on.
negative. You say that like it's a negative.
I mean, Lloyd Webber really looked at what made Phantom famous and said, you know who we're going to build a sequel on? Meg Giry. That bitch who had 6 lines in the original, she should have the sequel.
Maybe Lloyd Webber dated a Meg Giry actor secretly, and that's why that happened.
Likely.
Well, you know, he should have done it and brought in Miss Hannigan.
Honestly, love never dies. Miss Hannigan's revenge.
That's it.
Well, speaking of Andrew Lloyd Webber ripping off Annie 2, he does that in the Bad Cinderella, because we have literally the facial reconstruction surgery scene that is in Annie 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so insane. With the prisoner /
I
beautician.
love fake Annie.
Fake Annie is
I love
that's
Fake Annie
hilarious.
The best.
I'm trying to find out who played her because it doesn't list her in the program, probably to not give away a plot.
Right.
But I need to know who was mimicking and kind of making fun of the Annie voice.
I mean, I think that's part of the reason why they go so hard with the G. Willikers Annie, so we can have anti-Annie.
We
Anti-Annie.
need fake Annie too.
Nega
we need
Annie.
the,
It's like Nega Scott.
what
Scott Pilgrim.
What happens to fake Annie when after this is over?
Fake
Listen,
Annie dies.
Fake
Yeah.
Annie just like jumps off a
She's
bridge.
dead.
she was thrown from the train trestle that they didn't kill her off in the film.
She ends up on that boat from the opening of the musical. Just
Yeah.
like, well, I guess I'm going to prison.
No, she ends up on Warbucks Island. We all know it exists.
Oh, Warbucks Island. Yeah,
no,
I've been to
not
Warbucks
Warbucks
Island,
Island.
obviously.
Isn't it weird that Roosevelt is like such a main character in this when Warbucks doesn't like him, right? Isn't that like a thing in the first one?
Everybody who was a supporting character in the last one is suddenly a lead, including Miss Hannigan.
Weird.
It's like suddenly the president is like a side character we care about. Like, he's the president. What?
It's like, what is he doing here?
In
why
both
Why is
versions.
he here?
Also, why are the orphans always at the mansion?
So that he can adopt them at the end.
That's true.
Is the mansion on Warbucks Island? Question.
Oh no! Oh no!
Or what if there's 2 mansions? One is a decoy mansion, and the other is on
Right.
Warbucks Island.
Yeah,
Oliver, why are you
possible.
adopting all these orphans?
Oh,
I
my
love the
God.
sound of them.
Jesse, didn't we do a conspiracy theory episode once?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Great. So happy to add to that. This is the sequel.
The thing about FDR being in this, they also included as a character his Republican candidate, his real life Republican running. What's the thing? Person you're running against in Annie Warbucks.
Opponent.
He's yeah, he is one of the characters that's like, why are we using all the government money for this rich man? Why are we doing this? And he's like the naysayer in the room.
Yeah.
And that is the Republican opposition. Oliver, why are you a Republican if the Republicans won't even let you win because you're rich? That's all they're supposed to do.
Also, cheap jokes like LaGuardia Airport. Somebody should build an airport, and I don't care what you name it.
It's that literally happens. Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah. Yikes.
We gotta talk about the big differences. So what
Please.
makes Annie 2 different from Annie Warbucks? Because we're gonna talk about Annie Warbucks in a minute, but I want to know what makes Annie 2 so special.
Special is an interesting choice of words.
What makes it work so well?
To the point where at the end, if you watch a slime tutorial that maybe I put online of it, at the very end,
Under
it's
his own name.
Maybe
It's
just
like-
Google the musical. It comes right away.
Yeah. It's like a newsreel of them, of Martin Charnan saying, we had to pull the plug on it. It was terrible.
Okay, my favorite part of Annie 2 specifically is how fucking boring the first half hour is, filled with dialogue, and that they speed run through every song in the opening number. That is my 2 favorite pieces of it. They ruin all the goodwill they have for this show in the first 20 minutes.
It's just so wild. Also because some of these songs ended up in Annie Warbucks, but also some of them, the song in the hairdressing shop, Beautiful, is Everybody Wants to Do a Musical from Nick and Nora that Charles Strauss wrote in 91.
Everybody wants to
So he reused that music. It's insane. It's insane. Annie 2 is insane. Nothing makes sense. What are you doing out here on my boat and with my radio? What are we doing? Like, nothing worked or made sense. And that's why it's not great. And Dorothy Loudon was okay. But she truly, like, you could see, if you even just watch that video and it's just a light blob, you can see that she's pissed to be on that stage and having to deliver these lines.
Why though? Like, is it not
Why?
up to the quality of Annie? Is that what you're saying,
yes,
Robbie?
it's certainly not. Certainly not. Annie won Tonys. Several.
Yeah, so did Dear Evan Hansen. I'm not claiming
Okay.
award recognition
Okay.
means quality.
Okay. Annie was a hit. It also was like the gateway drug for a lot of kids
Yes.
into discovering theater, and probably to its detriment now. Right, because the dumbing down of the original musical, because it became a children's piece, is something I'll talk about forever. Because if you go back and listen to that original album, it's thrilling.
Okay, I hate to do a tangent on Annie 2014, which we're not talking about.
Sure.
But me and Andrew made a discovery watching that movie that still bothers me to this day. And people say, why is that version of Annie the only one that can't read or swim?
Racism.
I forgot about that.
Annie has never been illiterate or unable to swim in any other version, but suddenly, that's the one where that's a main plot point.
I mean, let's hope she can swim in Annie Warbucks, because she's supposed to be thrown off of that boat in a steamer song.
Or was it other Annie? I'm kidding.
Well, what a transition. Annie 2, Andrew, Robbie's been talking so much shit about it. What's your defense?
Yeah, please.
My defense is I think the fake Annie plot is so dog shit and awful that it's hilarious.
Please
And-
elaborate on the
Yeah, explain
Annie
fake
plot.
Annie.
So Miss Hannigan is trying to pretend to be a different person so she can win a contest to marry Daddy Warbucks, and her plan is to get Annie to be like, I want this woman to be my mommy, please, 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 please. And Daddy Warbucks, of course, because he's an absolute sucker, would fall for that with ease.
Men.
And so obviously Annie is not going to do that because Annie knows who Miss Hannigan is. So they create a fake Annie who they plant with Daddy Warbucks while on Coney Island. And this just works. He just falls for it. And she is going to marry Daddy Warbucks because of fake Annie. And it's incredible.
In the fake Annie dress and the fake Annie wig.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to fake being Annie because Annie only wears one thing and has very easy to wear a wig hair, you know?
She had
Easy
to get her
wear a
pimples
wig.
ripped out.
You know what I'm saying? Easy to fake hair.
Also, Miss Hannigan's fake name she was going under was Charlotte O'Hara.
Listen, again, the names in this show, the name of the senator is Marianne Christmas.
Yes, Mrs. Christmas.
But it's Marianne Christmas.
Marianne Christmas.
So it's literally it's Santa Claus too.
That's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah.
Cinco Paul, get
Come
at
on.
us.
There is absolutely no way that these are not inspired. Like Santa Claus 2 just they saw this, took it.
It only came to a head of how ridiculous it all was when we get to the song My Daddy, where Miss Hannigan's little friend's like, you know, I don't think your daddy's gonna be looking for you. You see, we found a replacement version of you, and he loves her now.
Don't think your old man Warbucks is coming for you, Annie, because he don't even know you're gone.
Yes, he does. He does too.
I don't know how to tell you this, kid, but Miss Hannigan found a little girl, and she made her look and talk just like you. And your father's probably having milk and cookies with her right now.
And he's like, oh, my daddy will come for me. How dark this time is for me. And I'm just like, this is our lowest point moment, I guess.
What's really great too is that they know that we have, as an audience, no faith that Daddy Warbucks would actually recognize the real Annie. None. And they play on that by having him walk over and pick up the fake Annie.
Uh-huh.
And we're supposed to be like, oh my God, he actually thinks that that's the real Annie. And he does like a psych. But
Right.
like, we have no faith in Daddy Warbucks at all. Like, just none.
Well, that's just most Republican billionaires. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk wouldn't recognize his own children.
There are some songs in Annie 2 that are good. A Younger Man is a beautiful song, but You Go On is a gorgeous
But
song.
that goes into Annie Warbucks. Like, all the good
Yes.
songs came
Correct.
over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I think...
And then Annie 2, that song Annie 2, You could be Annie 2, became became Above the Law. Like,
which
fully different lyric.
I think Annie 2 is a much funnier song title.
Yes.
They should reuse it for Joker too.
We should.
You could be Joker too.
That is, sure. That's honestly, Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge is truly a villain origin story.
But
it's
my villain origin story.
Correct.
Robbie.
And when it opened, like, it got such bad reviews that they kept changing it through the run. So, like, the original song stack is nothing like the song stack when they close. It's nuts. Yes. What is your question?
Well, I mean, I was just going to ask, which Annie 2 do you like better, Miss Hannigan's Revenge or A Royal Adventure?
Oh, God. Probably Miss Hannigan's Revenge. And that's mostly because that other Annie is annoying as F. And
you don't like
still get-
Ashley Johnson?
No, you still get Dorothy Loudon. Dorothy Loudon swanning about a stage, just screaming words.
We should probably also describe Annie to A Royal Adventure for those
Sure.
in our audience that do not understand what we're saying.
Ashley Johnson plays Annie. She stops British 9/11 by helping Emperor Palpatine. That's it.
Don't we have a commentary on this?
We did do a commentary on this on our Patreon.
Get on our Patreon. Check
Oh.
that out.
Well, there you go, guys. $5
Reason
a
to join the
month. I have no idea.
$5 if you're cheap, I guess.
Yeah.
We usually expect $100 at least from our real patron.
Sure.
Well, let's move on to Annie Warbucks then as
Sure.
a discussion piece. Robbie, what's the big difference between Annie Warbucks and, like, what did they change?
So they jetson Hannigan altogether. They keep the plot about you got to get
Santa
married.
Claus 2.
Right. But instead of a senator who is like, you have to do this, it's like a commissioner, a children's commissioner, which makes more sense.
Child
You know.
Welfare Commissioner.
Yes.
That's her title.
And that makes sense, right? I mean, not great sense because he's the richest man in the world and you just say, get fucked. Get out.
Well, also both these musicals hinge on the plot that Annie needs a mom or Daddy Warbucks can't raise her. And then in Annie Warbucks, it's confirmed that was made up so they could steal his money. So that wasn't a real New York law. They just made it up.
Right.
But I like how FDR claims, that's the law, I guess.
Yeah, FDR's like, yeah, that's a law. Totally. And they're like, no, we made that shit up, FDR. Don't you know your own government?
Ah. But
State
it's-
laws are different.
And it also starts right away with the end of Annie, right? So it starts with a New Deal for Christmas. And then record scratch. This thing happens. The orphans are still annoying.
Yeah.
But there are just things that are better. There's also like this Ella character who belts. And somebody's got to do something and stuff like that. And there's like that full gorgeous vocal breakdown in that song that's a cappella. It's just a better score. And it would have been wonderful, which is not in Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge. The Graces song is a stunning song.
It's an actual song, and there is pathos in it. I really like the family, the like weird kind of podunk reverend
Right, because so
family.
Annie decides she's going to run away because she's caused trouble, and she hops on a train. And then
Oh, wait, hold on. I need to contextualize that really quick. She mishears her Daddy Warbucks saying, I don't even know if I want her anymore, or something like that. Something out of context. Well, if he doesn't want me anymore, I'm gonna leave.
Well, Yeah. And he's also spent the whole musical going like, if my daddy gets married, he won't love me anymore because he'll have a wife and he'll hate me. Because
She does that in like both of them though, but it just doesn't have any payoff at all in Miss Hannigan's Revenge.
Nothing. Because nobody has any payoff in Miss Hannigan's Revenge.
But sorry, Robbie, continue
Except
with
fake Annie.
But yes, but like
Fake Annie gets a payoff.
She sure does. A little $20. $20. So like she hops a train and like meets this family and it's obviously the Depression, blah blah blah. And they create the New Deal together.
No, it's not the New Deal. It is, oh God. It was something about dams. It was an act about implementing dams across Tennessee. Because the New Deal was come up with in previous Annie, in Annie 1.
Hold on, I'm pulling the full plot, the detail, full synopsis. Annie, blah, blah, blah. Hi, kids, I got troubles. Which, by the way, there is a cast album of Annie Warbucks, if you can find it. And it's great. So, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I agree. She runs away, and they saying somebody's got to do something, which is wild. And what the heck does he create? Damn.
I found it.
Yes.
I found it.
Go.
It's the Tennessee Valley Authority Act of 1933.
Uh-huh.
This act created to oversee construction of dams to control flooding, improve navigation, and create cheap electric power in Tennessee Valley Basin.
Right.
All because the Reverend said, damn, damn, damn.
Damn.
And FDR said, well, that's a good idea. Eddie? Yes. But
I just love the idea of FDR just being an old, doddering old fool that stole other people's ideas and then called himself a genius.
every time.
Well, he is a Democrat.
That's true. We are good at that. But it's like it's a gorgeous score, highly listenable and a lot more fun, I think. The Coney Island number that you can watch, all 9.5 minutes of it, where they're just tapping like Casey Nicola is about to die. They're tapping so fast. But it's pretty, that number, but it doesn't pay off. Where like what this is paying off. Also, Don McKechnie returns to musical theater in Annie Warbucks.
That was pretty big, and that was her first time since Chorus Line.
Since Chorus Line, yeah. And my God,
and she's great.
She and they rewrite "But You Go On" a little bit. Like they improve that lyric just a hair, and it becomes a much better song because of it. And that's probably the best song in the score for me. Because when Dorothy Loudon is singing it, she's like, just every 3 words is "But you go on, but you go on, but you." It's like singing "Ah Paris" from Follies. So I think it's a better score, and it's interesting. It is wildly produced. It's done everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It is a very popular show.
Yeah.
You can find but strangely, no professional recordings, no like really high quality Annie Warbucks bootlegs are out there. Like the one that we watched was not the best cast in the world. Not to be speaking out of turn about amateurs.
Now
the dog was played by an actual child.
That's hilarious. You can watch on, I think, Aurora Spider-Woman's YouTube channel. They have 50 minutes of footage. Is it? No, it's 8 minutes of it. Sorry. But that's something. Yeah, it's not good though.
That is something. Andrew, counterpoint. Why do you hate Annie Warbucks?
Yeah, why do you hate orphans and dogs?
Why do you hate orphans, Andrew?
I hated both of these, to be clear.
Great.
Annie Warbucks, I just thought it was really fucking boring, and it was Annie again.
Sure.
There wasn't anything overtly silly like the fake Annie plot to keep me even remotely invested.
Wow.
So it was kind of just like, oh man, this is just more Annie, and I already didn't like Annie, so here we go.
Wow, you really hate orphans and dogs and high tenors.
Just to wrap us up before we go into a mid-show, I think we need a little cool off before we talk about some of these songs.
Okay.
How about we go into Previews, the letterbox game, because we never got to do this with the first Annie that we did, and I feel like it's an opportunity. So, Andrew, you and Robbie are going head-to-head. And for context, if this is your first episode of Musicals with Cheese ever, these are real-life letterbox reviews from several of the Annie adaptations, and they are either a 1-star or a 5-star. And Andrew and Robbie must go head-to-head and guess whether they're a 1-star or 5-star based on only the review alone.
Oh my
Liz,
God.
you're on Team Andrew. I'm on Team Robbie.
All right.
All right, you're up. You're up first, Liz. Take it away.
All right, Andrew.
Give me an easy one. I want to get some points on the board, you know?
I'll do my best. This is the gayest movie ever made.
This is more of a game of homophobic or not homophobic.
Boom.
We're gonna go with 5 stars.
That is right. It was not homophobic.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah.
Robbie.
I'm in.
Grace Farrell Warbucks better radicalize Oliver. I wonder what Democrats eat with her pussy.
What do Republicans eat?
Yeah.
Her pussy.
They don't eat pussy.
Oh yeah,
No.
just as
Women's
never
vaginas
seen
are
it.
dry in Republican land.
1 star?
that is a 5-star because they're specifically talking about Audra McDonald's pussy, and I think that could save worlds.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Oh, that one's so good. Okay.
That one's she is like the only good Grace Farrell in my opinion on screen or stage.
Sure.
Every other one
Wait.
kind of sucks.
Wow, you're really like pouring water on Anne Reinking?
Yes.
So in that yellow dress, we smoking a ciggy, we got Annie. And like does a shimmy.
Okay. Oh, she does not. From moment one, you know that what she's gonna be. Audra McDonald is no nonsense and cares about Annie first and is taking a parental figure. And also,
Anne Reinking is there to fuck. We have a reply from Cinco Paul.
Oh, what?
Cinco Paul, I am circling no. I sadly know nothing about Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge.
Oh
dear.
That's wild.
No way.
Well, we got a real-time reply.
All right. Give me the next one.
You
I'm
ready, Andrew?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
More like scary Warbucks. That dude is creepy as fuck.
Warbucks Island.
Let's
Title of
adopt
that.
all the orphans, Grace.
Let's adopt all these orphans. Get them on a plane.
Dude is scary.
I'm
Okay,
flying to Thailand for reasons.
For reasons.
I feel like liking Daddy Warbucks is like you need to do that to like the movies. So we're gonna go with 1 star.
That's actually a 5.
That's a fucking okay.
Yeah.
People love Annie
They turn this on. Turn this on. They're like, this Daddy Warbucks guy. He's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Was it
I
Jamie
love it.
Foxx?
That
Was
was
it Harry Connick?
Albert Finney.
Oh.
I'm full clench for Connick. All right, Robbie.
Yes.
I rewatched a video today. It's good.
I wish Audra McDonald would sing to me when I'm sad.
5 stars.
That's a 1.
What? What? Do people understand how star ratings work?
Not in Letterboxd.
I think they disliked the movie, but liked Audra McDonald, which I get. Okay, in that movie, I love how they speedrun all of Annie 2 by just having him propose at the end.
That's hilarious.
Victor Garber's like, I'm proposing to you, Audra McDonald. We have no chemistry, but let's just speedrun Annie 2 right here.
I mean, it's Audra McDonald. You proposed to her. Like you gotta get it.
Exactly.
That's
Ed
hilarious.
Zachary.
Andrew, why does Annie have a job when her father is insanely rich?
That's a great question.
That is from Annie 2: A Royal Adventure, where she has a newspaper job in the opening scene.
Annie is kind of she's the type of person that would do that, I think.
Yeah.
That's why she's so obnoxious. We're gonna go.
She LARPs
with...
as poor people.
He hates orphans.
Like
Yeah.
the cast
He
of
hates
Rent.
orphans.
I'm gonna go with. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna go with a 1 star.
That's
One
right.
star on that.
That is correct, sir.
Robbie, Andrew has far and away won this, but for fun, let's do one more.
Yeah, great.
I only have 2 points, don't I?
Robbie has 0, and this
Yeah,
is the
no
last
point.
one.
Too.
Wait, okay.
Robbie Rozelle, a 0. You
Robbie.
heard it here first. Yeah.
I am not proud of how many of these songs I already knew by heart.
5 stars. That's gotta
That
be.
is a 1 star. You
What
are
the
a
fuck?
0, Robbie.
Why? No. Oh, this hurts me. This hurts me so much.
They were not proud. They were
Well,
not proud.
Robbie,
mean,
if
I
it makes
am.
you feel better, when I play against Andrew, which I do all the time,
Yeah.
I commonly get 0 points. So
Probably-
you're not alone.
Listen, it has to do with him hating musicals and orphans and dogs. So I get it.
Yeah. And all children in general.
He's very focused, you know?
Notice there's no DeWolf Island. All right, let's go to a mix show, then we'll talk about some songs. All right. Hey, guys. Sorry to interrupt you in the middle of the show, but we've got a shill at you. Today's show is brought to you by the extremely kind donations by our donors over at Patreon. Patreon is this wonderful place where you can get a lot of cool content, including not 1, not 2, but 3 Annie commentaries. So if you really like us talking about Annie, you can see Annie more than you want. Annie isn't Annie anymore. Also, you can see a lot of cool commentaries on other stuff like a Goofy movie, and me and Liz are doing breakdowns of Has-Been Hotel. We'll get back to it. I just can't stand that show, so it's a bit of a hard swallow for me. I don't like it. Sorry, Robbie.
He hates it.
I
don't
love a
mind
hard
it.
swallow. Thank you.
And also on Patreon, you get the extended video episodes, and I'm sure Andrew's gonna cut a lot out of this episode specifically.
I think
And
I'm gonna have to. This is gonna be a 2-hour episode if I don't.
And if you're not on our Patreon, you're missing out on a lot of content, specifically Robbie Rozelle's face and his incredible background. And oh my God, Robbie Rozelle is doing backflips, and
Oh my God,
he
he's
is.
doing a beautiful dance too.
And Sandy the
With
dog
Sandy
is
the
there.
dog.
And there's actual dog.
Oh my gosh, Sandy!
Hey, girl, dumb dog.
That's gonna be your next cabaret performance. Is Dumb Dog from the
Little
Annie
Girls
movie.
is on my first album, so
Yeah,
anything can happen.
eventually gotta start pulling songs from Annie Warbucks or Annie too.
Yeah.
Could happen. What if I just walked on and sang both Above the Law and You could be Annie too?
You should open with you could be Robbie too.
Oh, I don't need a clone. The world does not need 2 of me. Much like the Sideshow Sisters, they don't need me.
I love that they included an Annie 2 title track. That's
I think that's-
Two title
I think that's hilarious.
It's like those Key and Peele sketches of them those fake movie songs that the Ghostbusters guy did with just the title.
Incredible.
Speaking of incredible people, our current patrons are Melissa Goldman, Danielle Renix, Jess the Stampede, Ewan Cassidy, Monica Thoreau, Brent Black, Nathaniel Stacey Coombe, Mary Lou Choquette, John Van Alls, Russ Walker, Musical Hell, Emily Gracie, Janae C, Scoot and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Nothing is Certain Except Beth and Taxes, John Van Alls, Thespian, Mitchell Young, Chai Teacup, Chris Marcotte, Hughie Marie Anastasio, Trevi Joseph, RJ Noriga, Juliet McClellan, Bjorn Hermans, Toriana Fraser, Sammy The Adequate Amount, Jacobson, Kaylee Blazier, Villainous Miss, Sophiana Ali, The Omega Geek, Paige Pearson, Maddie Wargle, Lisa Erdman, Anna Loskatova, Sarah Den Blecker, Evan Ball, Zachary Torres, Rora Morasso, Mara, Captain Rodtastic, Lisa L, Possessed Washing Machine, Nick Roten, Puffy Boy, Sydney Hicks, Anna Beal, Billy Clifton, Gold Plated Kiki Mora, Julia Balster Daughter, Emma, Cara Balda, and JRL Studios. They all give us a little extra financial support that helps us keep the lights on here at Musicals with Cheese. And if you'd like to support us in one day seeing Annie Warbucks in Norway, come join us over at Patreon. All right, let's get back to the show. Community theater is great. I just went on a vacation like 2 weekends ago, and just in our little vacation town, they were putting on Spelling Bee. Best production of Spelling Bee I had ever seen.
Great.
So
Great.
we didn't plan to go. It just happened to be there, and I went, and it was great.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Would you go
see
alone?
community theater.
No
no,
notes.
Miranda was with me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no notes. Great. Truly, spelling bee's a hard show to fuck up, though. So let's talk about some of these songs.
Great.
Changes, I feel like, is the one that they want to be tomorrow. They want to be the big number, maybe the one that maybe even like the maybe of the show, more than anything else.
Changes, changes, that's what life's about. Changes sometimes turn you inside out. Maybe this is what's called growing. Hey, be brave and keep on going.
Wonder what'll happen when we two turn into three. Will ya need her more than you need me? It's scary, shaky, everything is strange when nothing seems certain but change.
I think it's good. I think it's cute.
Yeah, I would think that they would want When You Smile to be their like big song, their tomorrow.
Yeah, but that's not an Annie song though. That is a Warbucks song that Annie's in.
Right. Like I don't need anything but you.
Yeah, but no one's playing that like on their iPod. They're all playing Tomorrow or Maybe or Hard Knock Life.
No, I was playing NYC because I stan Lori Beach.
I love NYC too. I defended in our last episode hardcore, but
Started
they're
me
not
screaming.
they're not the ones everyone talks about.
Okay.
Okay, it's not the one that normies talk about. It's the one that theater
Sure.
people talk
Yes, great.
about. What did you think of it changes, Andrew? Do you remember it?
Yeah, the remember it part is probably the better question.
You watched two versions, and the song was in both versions.
No, I think I actually do remember this one because this is when Warbucks is talking about having to get married or whatever, and what's going to change, right?
Yeah, Annie's worried that
Changes.
like, will she love me
Yeah.
will he love her more than me? Which is
the
a weird thing.
It's the song where it establishes the idea that Annie's upset about will he love more, and then they don't pay it off at all in the first one. They do in sort of in the second one, but not really.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sounds like an Annie song at the very least. Like that, you can give it like it sounds like this belongs in a sequel to the original Annie.
Man, you should replace Ben Brantley. Fuck Jesse Green. Just step in there.
I don't have particularly high praise for these. I'm not.
I'm not saying you have praise. I'm saying have thoughts.
My thoughts are that I was bored to tears by Annie Warbucks. I did not give half a shit about the commissioner and her dumb plan.
What, are you saying that you didn't like Above the Law, where they sing about how both
Not even remotely, no. I
They
was
were-
like, this story's already over. Like, what the fuck is this? Why does he have to get married? What the?
you don't like when Ella sings a song about love wriggling inside you?
Ew.
Okay.
Ew.
That one's,
no.
I guess. That one's all right. I guess.
I didn't write those lyrics, but
know.
someone
Honestly,
did.
One of the songs that I liked better, the best out of all of these was the song that that Miss Hannigan sings in that one about how she if she could just get this one, you know, she'll never do it again.
Just let me get away with this one.
Oh,
I thought that was a funny song. I like that one.
You know, her song in the first one was concise, little girls, easy street, 2 words. And then we got, just let me get away with this one.
It's not the best lyrically, but I think the concept is funny where it's just like, she's a piece of shit and she's just like, well, if I just get this one scam, I'll never have to do it again, I swear.
I'm surprised you don't like the commissioner, because they are also con people. She's a like Black Widow murderer, but like
The commissioner's like a twist con person though. Like you don't find out until later.
I mean, if you know any story plot semblance of like, oh, there's only one way this can go, you can pretty much figure it out from scene 1.
Well, I mean, it's the same plot as the first one, and that's not what happens in the first one. Miss Hannigan shows up in the first one.
I guess. I like A Younger Man a lot. It feels a lot like, it's a really cute song led in by a really creepy line where it's like, she's not too young for me, but I'm too old for her. Uh-huh.
She's a lovely thing, and don't I know it? She belongs in the arms of a younger man. She's the breath of spring that taunts the poet who writes songs of a younger man.
Warbucks Island talk.
He's got a weird sort of Warbucks has like a weird kind of like incel vibe going on in this show where he's like, I'm too ugly for women. They would never love me. It's like, what do you?
I'm too
you have
ugly
like $1 billion.
to ever be loved.
Well, he also doesn't want to date women his own age. So, like, who do you want to date?
Men.
Children.
Yeah.
Warbucks Island.
Orphans, Andrew.
Orphans.
Little orphans, Andrew.
God.
Little orphans, Andrew.
Little Orphans Andrew.
Oh no,
other
it's poor
sequel.
Jesse.
Oh no.
We
I
lost
can
him.
feel my
We
pupils
lost
disappear
him.
already.
Oh, his face is so red, y'all.
I'm so sorry. That was very funny. So Younger Man is a cute little song. It's a little sincere, and I like it. Then we have But You Go On, which is a dark, weird song.
Love it.
But I also like it a lot.
You fall in love and you swear it's not a crush. You think he's got you, find out he's fuller brush. And a weekend lush, but you go on. Have a baby, rent a furnished flat. 5 flights of stairs, 10 hours a day. Christmas dinner at the Automat. Sometimes you cry, most times you pray. Come home late and find a scribbled note. Gotta chase my dream, forgive me, John. He's off to China, Siam, or Kathmandu. His dream is bubbly and blonde and 22. So what else is new? But you go on.
Probably my favorite song.
Yeah. Good story song that like starts somewhere and ends somewhere. And you're like, oh shit, I'm in. Like I want to watch that dame's journey.
I wish she was a character. I wish she was like an actual human that lived that life, because that is a compelling song that is now just wasted time.
Yeah.
2 more songs that I want to talk about briefly is
Great.
I Got Me.
And hurting means crying, and crying is something I'm thinking I don't wanna do. Let tomorrow come, what'll be. Ain't got much, but I got me. Maybe you'll find you a fire and something to eat. Maybe I wind up just dancing for pennies and sleeping in alleys, lying out front of the streets. Let tomorrow come, what'll be, ain't got much, but I got me. Out here on my own, who says I'm alone? Ain't got much, but I
that one is just like, we're going to squeeze in all the lines from all the songs we liked in the last musical, right? Like, Maybe and Tomorrow and all of it. It's all in there.
Yeah.
And it just makes me...
And that was
cringe.
in Annie Warbucks, not Annie 2. Yeah.
Yes, that was just an Annie Warbucks.
Wild. It's a...
Don't like that song.
Yeah, it's fine.
C-. And then we got Then the other song that you said that you liked was When You Smile. And I also don't like this song. This song is also like cloying.
No.
And
I believe what I said is that that's the song they were trying to make the hit.
When you smile, I smile. Your smile lights my smile. So when I'm low, nowhere to go, nothing is clearer. I see you grin, gotta give in. We're like a mirror. When you're glum, me too. Eyeball at sea too. Water and bread, clothes I had there on the menu. Here in the room, all the gloom disappears when you flat that great big gorgeous smile.
well, they should have wrote a better song if they were trying to do that.
Fully, yes. And like this Annie Warbucks and Annie 2 spawned 2 different albums. There's an off-Broadway album of Annie Warbucks, but then there's an album that's like the Annie 2 stories and songs from the sequel that was packaged with a studio album of Annie that was touring at the time. But like Carol Burnett shows up and like does bridging, and this is what's happening in the plot, as like Kathy Lee Gifford then sings a song, or somebody else, and all the songs that were written for Annie 2 but not recorded in Annie Warbucks showed up on that. It's insane.
I'm glad it exists, just
Sure.
as far as like having that as media. But still, neither of these are particularly good.
No.
And I'm shocked to my core that Annie Warbucks got as rave reviews as it did.
And it won a Drama Desk or an Outer Critics Circle. It won one of them for like best musical.
Yeah, and I don't get it.
Wild.
It's
Well,
not.
it shows you how dire things were in the times of the Lloyd Webber musicals.
93. So what was on Tony's 1994? That was the Passion year.
Yeah. No. Yeah. 94 would have been Passion, Beauty and the Beast. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would.
But like, dark time.
Do you think if Annie Warbucks had made it to Broadway in that season, it would have done anything to all that?
No,
Okay.
I think the children or family musical was Beauty and the Beast, and let's be real, like Broadway in that time was just dire. The only great things that happened in that season were the revivals that year. That was the year of She Loves Me, Grease with Rosie O'Donnell, Damn Yankees with Bebe Neuwirth and Victor Garber, and Carousel at Lincoln Center. And I remember that because that's how the Tonys opened, was with a huge medley of all of those. That was gorgeous.
What if they had opened an Annie revival where Annie 2 was the second half?
I mean,
kind of Angels in America style.
What they did, when they closed this down in DC, they still had the set and everything, so they rolled that into a tour of Annie, like a revival of Annie. And Dorothy Loudon took off. She's like, I'm out. I'm good. I have my memories. And they tried to like remount Annie 2 at the good speed, and it died again. And so that's when they wrote Hannigan out completely, and Annie Warbucks was sort of born out of the ashes to be the Seussical of its day.
You mean well loved and forever remembered?
Well loved by community and school productions, yeah.
So Not loved at all. All right.
Whoa. Dark.
What is our overall thoughts on Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge, and Annie Warbucks, each getting their own respective cheese ratings?
Oh, shit.
Andrew, why don't you start us off? I know I really put the effort on.
Yeah, so I didn't like either of these, personally. I'm not a huge fan of Annie for reasons I'm sure I've explained somewhere, I guess. I don't know. I just find the Annie character to be somewhat annoying, and it's a very repetitive, like, they kind of just do the same things over and over again. It's like Warbucks jokes about Democrats and him being rich, and Annie saying golly gee and leaping lizards and whatever. And it's just kind of, I don't know, this just feels like more of the same and worse. So
you think this is worse than the first Annie?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I thought you'd say, "Oh, it's just on par. It's more of the same."
No,
that was honestly what I thought.
No, I mean there's a scale, like there's a bottom, it keeps going. Annie 2 is definitely worse than Annie. I think that you'd be a bit of an absurd person if you didn't admit that. So yeah, not a huge fan. I'm gonna give both of these grilled cheese from the Leaping Lizard Cafe, which yeah, and grilled cheese is like a low quality sandwich. So there you go.
All right, Liz, you're up next.
Depends how you make it.
Yeah, I was like, what?
This was on the kids menu, so it's just American.
God, it's a McDonald's grilled cheese.
Comforting. So Annie's 2 Hannigan's Revenge is kind of a blur for me because my God, the clone Annie showed up and like things got weird and I was real out of it. So like it's kind of a blur. But then both of these are a blur. These are both bad, but they're both different types of bad. Like Annie Hannigan's Revenge is just kind of insane because like there's a clone Annie and there's facial reconstruction surgery and like there's a lot of shit going on here. And then the second one is
Coney
like,
Island.
I have to get islands. And
Wait. Hold on. I'm so sorry to interrupt, Liz, but both this and Love Never Dies, Coney Island.
Oh
no! Maybe Coney Island is the problem with these sequels.
Coney
Don't
Island
go
is
to
the problem.
Coney Island. Uptown
blame
Girls
Coney
learned that
Island.
too.
But yeah, so the second one's just kind of more boring. Everyone's you guys on frizz. All right, so the second one's just kind of boring. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're just listening for once.
Oh, so you guys usually interrupt me, so I was essentially like, "Oh, you guys can't hear me." Anyway, I'll restart my thought for the sake of Andrew's sanity. Annie Warbucks is kind of boring in comparison because there's no clones or boats or prisons or anything. It's just like, I gotta get married, and FDR is there. So yeah, they're both insane. Check them out if you can find them. And you're drunk. I'm gonna give both of these because they blend together in my head. Mac and cheese made with $1 pasta and a brick of government cheese. Because like it's a good idea, but the ingredients aren't working.
I like that. This is a good metaphor.
Yeah.
Robbie.
Hi. Thank you so much. So again, I do think the original Annie is a very well constructed piece of theater. And so it's a very good cheese. Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge, is a Borson. It is, you touch it and it crumbles. It falls apart. It melts very easily. It is, Annie Warbucks is a box of Kraft mac and cheese, but with the dust. That dust cheese that you have to like pour in. It's not even the sauce. It's, you have to make it somehow. It's comforting. And it goes down easily, but it's better constructed than what came before it. But it's still not like wonderful. It exists, much like Kraft mac and cheese.
Good one. All right, guys. I've talked a lot during this episode, but I don't think I gave many opinions. I set up a lot of opinions. I let others speak, and I try to put thoughts against each other. But here I am, having to give my own thought.
Please.
both Annie 2s are better than Annie 1.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
No.
No.
You should practice
Both
self-love.
Annie
bullshit.
2s
No.
are better than the first Annie.
Anyone may be boring,
You want
but
to
at
be
least
Mike
it's not
Stoklasa
weird.
so bad right now, but you're not.
I'm not. I'm being so serious.
Oh my god.
Andrew, I'll
I
send
am
you a
so
copy of The
full of
Devil's
shit.
Son to put in this episode.
That's a disgusting opinion, and I hope you feel
Disgusting.
bad about it.
I even saw that
Truly.
revival with Nell Carter, and it's better constructed, and you can't sink that ship.
What I will say is Annie 2 goes back to the comic book roots of Little Orphan Annie. They go to high places, broad adventures, and Annie goes on the road for a change. We see the sights outside of New York City. It does what every good sequel should do, and
He's quoting someone right now. He's so full of
What
shit.
is happening?
expands the purview of Annie so that she's not just within her wealthy, well-intentioned places, but she sees other individuals' points of view and touches their lives in a Paddington-esque way where she finds this one family and increases their lives for the better. And that is just in Annie Warbucks. In Annie 2, her main arch and nemesis gets more depth. We get to see a little bit more of what is expected of her. I would say that Miss Hannigan is given depth that she was ignored in the first
Where did you
Annie.
fucking pull this out of?
Jess,
Who
did you
wrote
just
this
compare
shit?
Annie to Hannigan's Revenge to Paddington?
Yeah.
No.
Like she's
I
fucking
compared
wandering
it-
around making marmalade.
I compared Annie Warbucks to Paddington.
That's even worse somehow.
And I think
Are you
that
quoting like
Or did you
fucking
write
Ben
something
Brantley or
up for
something?
this
Like,
episode?
Who are you quoting right
These
now?
are
Did
my
you write
opinions,
Is this
sir.
your
Did you write
letterbox
this
review?
before you
Shut the fuck up.
recorded?
I'm sorry.
Or is this
Shut the fuck up.
organic?
You're so full of shit.
I am being as sincere as I ever have been
This
on this
sounds so
podcast.
You're not. You're so full of shit.
Such bullshit. Did you watch the same things?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I let you guys have your moments.
No one has ever been more full of shit than you are.
I let
right
you
now.
have your
I need to
opinions. I did
drink
not
now.
fight back. Let me convey my
Our
thoughts.
opinions made sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Are you
drink.
saying that my opinions are less valid because they don't
Yes.
line up as perfectly
Yes.
as yours?
Did you watch the
100%
same
yes.
things we did?
I did twice because I was that compelled by them.
What? Now,
Held
the
by
one thing
Clone Annie on a boat.
This fucking guy.
the one thing we didn't talk about, but that's a really, really funny sight gag in Annie 2, is when they start to unravel the plan on their little tugboat and a huge cruise boat goes by and like the boat just like tilts. It's very funny. They do it twice. It got a huge response. That was great.
It was
You
the
know-
only thing worth
That's the only
saving in
thing.
that whole
Ah,
show.
thank
and they,
you.
and
Besides
they
Clone
removed it
Annie.
from
Clone
Warbucks.
Annie is great.
I don't know. Jesse loved
I-
it from tip to tail.
I
Apparently.
predict that in a Merrily We Roll Along like comeback, when this comes to Broadway again with, I will say, Andrea McArdle playing Miss Hannigan and or our brand new characters, depending on which version they do, because either way, it is an artistic choice.
I'm too famous for this.
Let me blur his background.
Like, where did you pull this?
Commissioner
opinion from?
Doyle could be a perfect return to Broadway for Andrea McArdle.
No.
Miss Kelly would also be a choice, but I feel like that might be a stretch. So, my cheese ratings for these two classic musicals that were not given their right shot, and the critics got so right with Annie Warbucks. For Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge, I am giving it a great value single American pasteurized prepared cheese product. And then, you know, because it's fatty, but it is still like cheddar. And I am giving Annie Warbucks extra thin American cheese slices from Kraft Singles. Because it's the same cheese, but it's a little thinner, a little leaner, it goes down a little better.
Oh my god, I hate it.
I don't think Robbie's gonna ever come
So,
back. I think you
where-
just made
where
Robbie
is
never
the-
come back to the show.
Where's the reveal? Like, who are you quoting there?
Yeah, who are you
Like,
quoting?
What's the joke?
Yeah. Is
The
it a
joke-
New York Times
There's
article?
no joke. I have opinions.
Were
And
you just
that-
sitting
no,
in
you-
Glass House overhearing somebody talk about Illinois?
No, they're like really defending the new Great Gatsby, and that's who I stole it from.
Which one?
Guys,
I was vague on purpose.
Let me tie that into this. Great Gatsby, Myrtle gets hit by a car. That's not a spoiler. It's in the book. But in this production on Broadway, she is dressed like Katie Finneran's Miss Hannigan. And as it happened, I turned to the person I was with and I said, they just ran over Miss Hannigan.
Miss Hannigan should have been in Great Gatsby is what I'm
That's
learning.
the ending of Miss Hannigan's Revenge that they don't want us to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of not wanting us to see things, Robbie.
Uh-huh.
You have such an incredible, eclectic presence on the internet. I want you to take this moment to promote everything out there for you so people can find it.
I'm so easily Googleable and findable. I'm Diva Robbie on all platforms because I make it simple for you because what? Branding. And you can find my discography on Spotify and please stream it overnight while you're asleep so that I can get guacamole on my Chipotle. A new single is coming soon.
Awesome. And also, if people want all the wonderful bootlegs that, including Annie 2, Miss Hannigan's Revenge, follow them on Robbie's YouTube channel, Robbie Rozelle.
It's Diva Robbie.
Yeah, you need more subscribers because you're doing God's work over there.
I've got over 2K. It's monetized.
All right.
But I'll take more. I am.
Of course.
I've been putting up all the Sondheim Kennedy Center productions, which are very important. So
thank God for that. Specifically the Merrily production, which was something I've been salivating over clips of.
Perfect. It's perfect.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of people that are so good, thank you guys for listening. And please follow us on iTunes and Spotify at Musicals with Cheese. We're on Twitter at Cheesy Musicals, Patreon Musicals with Cheese, Instagram Musicals with Cheese, YouTube page Musicals with Cheese, Patreon only podcast, Patreon with Cheese. Check it out. We got some cool shit. Email us at musicaltheaterlives@gmail.com to tell them how wrong they are about both Annies and that they're truly ignoring the genius of the sequel musical done right. Our keeper of the cheese is Juliet Antonio. Robbie, for Juliet, they write ASMR. Would you mind giving us a line from Annie 2 done in ASMR?
Leaping lizard.
Ooh. I will say
Good
that's
choice,
not.
good choice.
I don't think anyone's ever gonna tackle Grace Aki's like ranking as like the best at that. Apparently.
Well, Laura, no, she's. They said Laura Crone is pretty good at ASMR too.
Okay. Those two are up there. I don't know. I try, but I've
can't
never
ask
even.
a belter to do ASMR. That's not kind. This is not a
You're
healthy
right.
mix. I just scream on a pitch.
You are Paul Lind energy all the way.
Oh my God, yes. He would be so good as Miss Hannigan.
He would. He'd be good as Rooster.
The
if
way
we...
all of you cocked your head at the same time and did that Stewie head tilt. Because you heard go, little girls. Like I saw it.
I
fully saw it happen. Like, you know, when he's in Bye Bye Birdie, I don't want your respect. It's perfect.
Thank you to the Broadway Podcast Network for having us on the platform and for not kicking us off for, Warbucks Island propaganda. This show is edited by Andrew DeWolf. If you are hearing this, he probably did a really good job on it, and you're getting only half the content because he did a good job. All right. Anything else we have left to say before we wrap this on up?
Quick plug for the YouTube channel that we haven't
Yes.
uploaded in a while. 2 years ago, I made a video cutting down the live stream Jess had with Brent Black and Sideways talking about the Annie live NBC production, which is on YouTube. It's like 20 minutes, so check it out if you want to get some more Annie content from us.
I gotta be honest. I think I might have went a little too hard. I have zero memory of that whole night.
You 100% did go too hard.
Whoops. Annie ain't just Annie anymore. There, that's good enough.
Spoiled by